You wake up, reach for your phone, scroll, notifications, noise. Your day hasn't even started, and already your mind is scattered like leaves in a storm, and then you wonder, why am I not moving forward? Why am I stuck in the same place? The answer is simple: no focus, no power, no results. We live in a world of noise, endless scrolling, constant notifications, buzzing phones, flashing screens, all pulling your attention in 1,000 directions. This modern chaos is not just inconvenient, it is deadly to your growth. Because the mind, though vast and capable, cannot be everywhere at once. You may believe you're multitasking, you may think you're keeping up, but the truth is, you're leaking energy. Every distraction chips away at your clarity. Every scattered thought is a crack in your mental armor. And without clarity, without focus, your strength is divided. Like water spilled across the floor, it wets everything, but it moves nothing. Focus is not a luxury. It is not optional. It is the master key to unlocking the full power of your mind. A focused mind becomes a weapon, sharp, precise, relentless, but an unfocused mind, it's a dull blade. It can't cut through doubt, can't slice through fear, can't pierce through resistance. And the tragedy, most people go their entire lives never sharpening their minds. They let the world hijack their attention, let impulses dictate their day. Let entertainment rob them of energy that could have been used to build something meaningful. Without focus, you cannot think deeply. Without deep thought, you cannot create anything of substance. Imagine your mind is a flashlight. When the beam is diffused, it lights up a room dimly, but when concentrated, like a laser, it can cut through steel. This is the difference between those who dabble and those who dominate. Dabblers scatter their attention. Masters focus it. The brightest minds, the greatest achievers, they aren't smarter, they aren't faster, they are simply more focused. They protect their attention like a sacred fire. They know that one focused hour is worth more than 10 distracted ones. They choose what to ignore just as carefully as what to pursue. But focus is not about control. It's about discipline. Discipline to say no to what's easy. Discipline to sit with discomfort. Discipline to return your attention when it wanders. And it will wander because the mind resists stillness. It craves novelty, stimulation, escape. That's why most people jump from task to task, idea to idea, never staying long enough to go deep. But growth only happens in depth. Mastery only comes when you push through the boredom, through the fog, through the noise, until you reach that quiet place of clarity. That's where insight lives. That's where power is born. So how do you develop this kind of focus? First, remove the unnecessary. Don't try to do more. Try to do less, better. Identify what truly matters, and cut away everything else. Your time and energy are not infinite. Every yes is a no to something else. Be ruthless, audit your environment, audit your digital life, audit your habits. Second, train your mind daily. Meditation, breathwork, deep work, stillness. These are not trends. These are ancient tools. Use them. Third, build rituals that support your focus. Wake early, start with intention, limit your choices, structure your day. When your life is simple, your mind becomes powerful, because here's the truth: focus is a skill. Not a gift, not a trait, a skill, one you can build, one you can master, one that can change your life entirely. Everything you're struggling with, lack of progress, confusion, fatigue, it all starts with unfocused energy. But when you harness your focus, the fog lifts, the path appears, the goal sharpens, and what once felt impossible begins to move toward you, not because the world changes, but because you did, because you chose to stop scattering your light, and instead became the laser. We often wonder why our energy fades before the day even begins. We blame sleep, stress, food, or even age. But the truth is much simpler and far more confronting. Your energy isn't gone. It's being spent, Every time your attention shifts, you make a withdrawal, a scroll on your phone, a wandering thought, a meaningless conversation. These aren't harmless habits, they are leaks, invisible ones. And over time, they drain you not just of energy, but of momentum, of clarity, and of power. You cannot grow if your life is built on distractions. Energy doesn't disappear, it flows. The only question is, where is yours going? Where you place your attention determines the direction of your life. If you feed your attention to problems, you amplify fear. If you place it on purpose, you amplify strength. This is the subtle force that shapes everything. A distracted man cannot build anything meaningful. He is too busy reacting. But a focused man, he commands energy, he channels it, he shapes it like fire in his hands. Whatever you give your attention to grows. It expands, it multiplies. So when you constantly pay attention to things that don't serve you, news, gossip, noise, you're watering weeds. You are feeding what holds you back. And then you wonder why progress never arrives. Think of a river. It flows effortlessly, but only in one direction. The more focused the flow, the more power it carries. The moment it branches into dozens of tiny streams, the current weakens. It no longer carves through rock. It meanders. This is the state of most minds. Scattered, overstimulated, unfocused. And yet they expect results. But results require flow, and flow requires direction. Your attention is your steering wheel. If you're not deliberate with it, you'll drift through life, pulled by distractions, tossed by other people's agendas. But the one who takes control of their attention takes control of their future. Energy follows attention. That's why when you focus on a goal, really focus, your energy seems to rise. Time slows, the body aligns, you forget fatigue. This is not magic. It's biology. It's how you're wired. You are built to come alive when you pursue what matters, but when your attention is fractured by messages, noise, entertainment, your energy becomes diluted. You lose the edge. You lose connection to the deeper part of yourself. Attention is not just about the mind. It affects the heart, the body, the soul. If you want to feel alive again, don't change your life. Just change where your attention lives. So how do you reclaim that attention? Start small. Begin by noticing where your focus goes. Not judging, just observing. When you reach for your phone unconsciously, pause. When your mind drifts mid-task, pause. Bring it back again and again. This is the training. This is the path. Remove the noise. Reduce the inputs. Stop giving your attention to things that cost energy but offer no return. That is the trade-off most people accept without knowing it. Cheap dopamine for priceless power. But you can choose differently. Start with one moment of awareness, then another. Over time, those moments become minutes, then hours, then a life of deliberate living. Remember this. Attention is your most valuable resource. Not time, not money, attention, because where it goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, reality takes shape. Your habits, your success, your relationships, none of them are born from what you say you want. They are born from what you give attention to, day after day. This is not theory. This is truth, and truth is powerful when lived. So choose wisely where you place your attention, because that choice is not small. It is the difference between drifting and driving, between weakness and strength, between existence and mastery. Growth is not sudden. It is subtle, slow, and sacred. It happens beneath the surface, quietly, like roots expanding underground. But for those roots to grow, the soil must be still, focused, nourished. Distractions are the stones in the soil, the ones you don't notice until your growth stops. Most people are not failing because they are incapable. They are failing because they are interrupted too often to succeed. A single moment of distraction doesn't seem harmful, but add 100 of them across the day, and your progress bleeds out. What could have been a day of progress becomes a collection of fragmented efforts, and nothing blooms in fragments. Distractions don't always arrive loudly. Some come as kindness, just check this for a minute. Some come dressed as productivity, let's multitask. Others are disguised as entertainment, harmless, light, relaxing, but they all carry the same poison. They break your rhythm, and once rhythm is broken, momentum is lost, and without momentum, nothing compounds. Growth relies on depth, but you can't go deep if you're constantly being pulled to the surface. Most people are exhausted not from hard work, but from shallow work done for too long. Mental fatigue isn't always from thinking too much. Often, it's from switching too often. Think about this. Every time you switch tasks, your brain needs time to realign. Scientists call this attention residue. It means even after you've left one task, part of your mind is still stuck there. So when you move to the next, you're not fully present. You're carrying leftover thoughts. This buildup clogs clarity. It slows decision making. It makes your effort feel heavy. That's the silent damage of distraction. It doesn't just steal your time. It steals your quality. You might still complete tasks, but never at your best, never with depth, never with the kind of sharpness that turns good into great. Now, here's the deeper danger. Repeated distraction becomes identity. If every day is filled with shallow focus, your mind begins to normalize it. You start believing this is how things are. This is who you are. I just can't concentrate. I'm not productive. I'll never get ahead. These aren't truths. These are symptoms of an environment soaked in distraction. You are not broken. Your focus isn't weak. It's just buried under noise, under layers of habits that keep you reacting, not creating, but habits can be changed. The key is to treat distraction as the enemy, not casually, but strategically. So how do you fight it? First, guard your space. Your phone, your notifications, your workspace. Design them for focus, not stimulation. Turn off what doesn't serve your purpose. Put your phone in another room if needed. Silence isn't empty, it's full of potential. Second, train your ability to stay, even when it gets boring, even when resistance creeps in. Especially then. Growth often hides behind the door of discomfort. If you escape that door too soon, via distraction, you never reach what's behind it. Third, reward depth. Celebrate the days you stayed with one task. Track your deep work. Build pride around presence, because here's the truth. Greatness doesn't come from explosive effort. It comes from sustained, undistracted repetition. Every master, every high performer, every visionary, you'll find one thing in common. They know how to shut the world out when it's time to create. They protect their focus like a lion protects its territory, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Distractions are not just annoyances. They are barriers to your evolution. They're the invisible chains that keep you average. But once you break free, once you build the discipline to go deep, then, and only then, does true growth begin to show itself. In a world obsessed with motion, stillness is a rebellion. We are conditioned to move fast, respond quickly, achieve constantly. Rest is seen as laziness, silence as unproductive. But this conditioning is flawed, because the greatest strength, the kind that endures, that builds legacy, that anchors the self, is not found in movement, but in stillness. Think of the mountain. It does not chase, it does not speak. Yet it shapes the sky and holds the horizon. It is unmoved by storms because it is rooted. That is the power of stillness. It's not weakness. It's not passivity. It is the foundation from which real power rises. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of awareness. It's where you stop reacting to everything and start observing everything. In stillness, you see your thoughts. You hear your instincts. You notice the tension in your body. You witness the stories your mind tells you. And for the first time, you begin to choose which ones to believe. Most people live unconsciously, moving from one task to the next, one thought to the next without pause. But stillness breaks the loop. It allows space between stimulus and response, and in that space, your strength grows, because now you're not being pulled, you're choosing your direction. Look at the strongest people in the world, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They are not loud, they are not frantic, they don't need to prove their strength. It radiates from them quietly, and do you know what they all have in common? Time spent in stillness, time spent in solitude, time spent not doing, but being. That is where resilience is built. When you sit with your own thoughts long enough, you stop fearing them. When you stop needing constant noise, your mind becomes quieter. A quiet mind is a sharp mind. A sharp mind makes clear decisions, and clear decisions are what move you forward. But stillness must be practiced. It is not given to you. You must carve it out, especially in a world that profits from your distraction. Start small. 1 minute of silence in the morning, 1 breath before each task, a walk without your phone. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are gateways. They reconnect you with your center. They train your nervous system to slow down. They anchor your focus. Over time, stillness becomes familiar, not something you avoid, but something you crave. You'll begin to notice how much strength you wasted on things that didn't matter, and how powerful it feels to sit in your own presence without needing anything to change. Stillness also sharpens your awareness of others. You begin to see the chaos people live in, the hurried speech, the restless eyes, the constant need to escape. But instead of judging them, you learn compassion, because you've been there too. Stillness humbles you. It reveals your own restlessness and shows you what it means to truly listen, not just to others, but to life itself. You realize that answers rarely come when you chase them. They come when you create space for them, and space is created in stillness. The more you practice it, the more you realize clarity, insight, creativity. These are not forced. They are allowed, so remember this. In the noise, anyone can shout. In the chaos, anyone can react. But to sit in stillness, to breathe, to observe, to wait, that takes power, inner power, the kind that doesn't crumble under pressure, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. That power is available to you right now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. If you can learn to sit with stillness, you can learn to sit with yourself, and once you can sit with yourself, fully, without escape, nothing outside of you can shake you. Everyone wants to feel motivated. Everyone waits for the spark, for that moment when it all becomes easy, when the mind aligns perfectly with the goal. But here is a truth many ignore. Motivation is unreliable. It's like the weather, sometimes warm, sometimes stormy, sometimes gone without warning. And if your life depends on the weather, your results will always be unstable. You'll work hard on the good days and fall apart on the bad ones. You'll show up when it's convenient and disappear when it's not. That is not strength. That is dependency on emotion, not mastery of the self. Real power doesn't come from how inspired you feel. It comes from what you do when you feel nothing at all. From what you do when your mood says stop, but your discipline says go. The strongest individuals are not the most motivated. They are the most consistent. They rise without the cheer of emotion. They train without applause. They act without needing energy from outside sources, because they understand something most don't. Motivation is a gift. Discipline is a weapon. One fades, the other lasts, and only one builds a life worth living. Consistency creates momentum, and momentum, once built, carries you through days when everything feels heavy. A single action may seem small, but stack it daily and it compounds. That's how muscles are built. That's how skills are sharpened. That's how confidence is formed, not by sudden bursts of energy, but by the quiet, deliberate repetition of small, intentional actions. You don't need to do great things every day. But you must do the right things every day. It's not perfection that leads to transformation. It's persistence, not the grand gesture, but the daily grind, not waiting for the mood, but moving through it. Think of the river. It does not rage loudly. It flows endlessly. Over time, it wears down the hardest rock, not through force, but through repetition. This is what you must become: a quiet force, a steady rhythm, a presence that shows up day after day without excuse. Don't chase motivation. Build systems, build habits, build rituals that make action automatic. Wake up, move, create, train, reflect. These are not just tasks. They are anchors, and when motivation fades, as it always does, your anchors keep you steady. There's a deeper reason consistency works. It rewires your identity. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, you prove something to yourself. I am the kind of person who does what needs to be done. That belief is powerful. It replaces doubt with evidence. Inconsistency breeds insecurity, but consistency builds certainty, not the kind that comes from outcome, but the kind that comes from knowing you did the work. That's unshakable. That's real power, and no one can give it to you. You earn it through sweat, through silence, through showing up long after the feelings are gone. So remember this: do not wait to feel ready. Do not wait to feel inspired. Begin now. Begin small. Begin even when you're tired, uninspired, uncomfortable, especially then, because that's where power is born. That's the line between wishing and becoming. Everyone wants results. Few are willing to earn them through repetition, but those who do, those who understand that consistent action is the path, the fuel, the fire, they cannot be stopped, not because they are always strong, but because they never stopped moving. Everyone wants results. Everyone wants success, recognition, progress, mastery. But what most overlook is that results are not handed out. They are not awarded based on wishes, intentions, or potential. They are earned, moment by moment, through presence. And presence is more than just showing up physically. It means being fully engaged, mentally and emotionally aligned with the task at hand. You're not checking your phone every 5 minutes. You're not drifting off into tomorrow's worries or yesterday's regrets. You are here, alert, alive, aware. This kind of presence is rare, but it's also the seed of every breakthrough. We live in a time where being busy is mistaken for being productive. You can spend an entire day doing tasks and end it with nothing of real value created. That's because activity is not the same as impact. Impact only happens when you bring your full attention to what you're doing. Whether you're writing, training, learning, or building, if your mind is elsewhere, your effort is diluted. It's like trying to lift weight with only one arm engaged, weak, incomplete. But when you're fully present, you access a deeper strength. You think clearer, you move faster, you create better, because your energy is unified, not divided. Presence is a form of discipline. It demands that you stop letting your mind run into the past or sprint toward the future. It requires you to resist the urge to escape the moment, especially when the moment is uncomfortable. But that's where growth hides. The discomfort you avoid is often the doorway to the result you desire. If you're always running from the now, you're running from your life, your strength, your potential. The present is where everything happens. It's the only place where action can take place. So, if you're not present, you're not progressing. It's that simple. Some of the most powerful people in the world aren't the loudest, fastest, or most visible. They are the most present. When they speak, they listen. When they act, they commit. When they train, they immerse. Their attention doesn't drift, and that's what makes them unstoppable. They aren't distracted by things that don't matter. They don't divide themselves across a dozen half-hearted efforts. They pick one thing, one target, one mission, and they pour themselves into it fully. Presence gives them power. Power gives them results. Results are not lucky outcomes. They are earned deposits of attention, stacked daily with intention. So how do you develop this presence? Like anything, it starts small. Practice single tasking. Remove distractions before you begin. Set short blocks of time where your only goal is to be completely engaged with one thing. When your mind wanders, and it will gently bring it back, this is the practice, this is the work. Over time, you begin to notice that presence feels good. It feels clean, like drinking clear water after tasting noise for too long. You become more efficient, more creative, more connected to your work, to others, to yourself, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing it fully. And here's what's most important. Results don't respond to how badly you want them. They respond to how deeply you show up for them. You can't cheat presence. You can't fake being all in. Life knows, your body knows, your results know. And when you learn to give your full presence to your practice, your craft, your vision, then results stop being mysterious. They become inevitable, not because the world changed, but because you did. The truth is simple. No focus, no power, no results. Without focus, your strength is divided. Without presence, your energy is scattered. Without consistency, your progress is hollow. Distractions, noise, and emotional dependency, these are not small obstacles. They are barriers to who you could become. But the moment you take back control, the moment you choose stillness over stimulation, discipline over comfort, and presence over passivity, that is the moment your transformation begins. You don't need more motivation. You need to return to the now. One breath, one task, one deliberate action at a time, because everything you seek, clarity, strength, mastery, peace, it doesn't exist out there. It lives here, in this moment, in your focus, in your presence. Choose now, sharpen your attention, and the results will follow.